So there's a new update where we have the new MMR reset, there's guild updates, as well as better Smurf detection and boosters being banned. Now, I'm going to give a quick summary of all of these things so you don't have to really read through the patch notes. I'll also give some of my opinions on some of this stuff as well. So to get right into it, the first one is the MMR reset. It was supposed to be 6-month seasons, but now it's like 13 months in and you have the option to reset your MMR. If you go into your settings and then to account, you can activate the reset. Now, this is totally optional. You never have to actually reset or recalibrate, and you can stay at your same MMR as what you had before. This may not be available in your account until November 22nd, so it's available for people at different times, so you have to come back and check this in the settings on a regular basis if you want to find out when you have it, but you should have it before the end of November. And it's available at any time, so you don't have to recalibrate now. You can wait like 2-3 months down the road and then recalibrate, so it's totally up to you. And a lot of the reason why is because Valve said that they didn't like the behavior that players were doing. So what my experience was is that you would always have players being really toxic in their calibration matches, especially if they lost their previous game, and typically you just have a lot of emotions going around from a few players and they don't play as consistently. You sometimes even have people abusing, trying to purposely lose MMR in their recalibration. So when it comes to new heroes, they said that they're planning on having a new hero in November and a second hero coming in the first quarter of 2021. So these leaks have somewhat evidence that Valve are working on new heroes. They also want to have more regular patches coming out and have Dota more centered around steady state content rather than everything focused around the international. So maybe this is kind of like both good and bad. So first off, looking at the heroes at the first quarter 2021 will most likely be around the time of the Chinese New Year, which is when the new Bloom event happens, and likely all this stuff will probably happen at the same time. Now, the other thing about the steady state regular content is that Valve tried this in the past where they did patches every 2 weeks, and it was really bad. And no one really liked it, and mainly the reason is because it was very low effort. They were likely working on Half-Life Alyx as well as finishing Artifact, which this was back in 2018, and really what Dota was getting was these really low effort patches. It was stuff like Bloodseeker's talent from plus 200 health went from plus 200 to plus 250 or plus 225, and it's like no one cared that 25 extra health for a talent. It was like nothing. And there was tons of these changes that really were not meaningful in any way, and if they did any sort of meaningful change like changing MKB, it would get reverted or would change it so radically that it wasn't good. And it was changing it as well like the week before tournaments were on, so they'd have this drastic change and players would not, like pro players didn't know what even to practice. So it was bad for like the esports spectrum as well as just the general player. Now, the worst thing of all of these like 2-week patches was that they were too predictable. Everyone knew, okay, in 2 weeks there's going to be a new patch, so if I don't like this patch, I can just wait 2 weeks, stop playing Dota, and then there'll be a new patch that will fix this. So you could always just base your playtime around those 2 weeks, and if there was a patch that was really good and you enjoyed it, it was gone in 2 weeks. So it wasn't very good. Now, if Valve put a lot more effort into it, yes, I think this can work, especially if they don't do it on a very planned basis where players don't know when the next patch is. It needs to be a surprise. This is why if you look at any games that are being announced, they don't go off and do some big campaign 6 months before, like marketing campaign, like talking about their game. It just appears. You see the game when it's released, and that's just what works. So the next thing is Smurf detection and toxicity. So Valve have found that Smurfs are not good for Dota with actual data, not saying that, oh, it's just some circle jerk that we shouldn't have Smurfs in Dota, but it's more so that they're finding that Smurfs are most likely to play to manipulate MMR. They're playing often with other Smurfs or playing in a party where one player is the Smurf. So it's always, the motive is to manipulate MMR, as well as that Smurfs will often have the same behavioral score as all their other accounts. So if you were very toxic and you got banned and you make a new account, that's going to be like, it's very similar behavior as well you're going to get in that. So the transfer doesn't like rehabilitate people just because they make a new account. The whole idea is that Valve are noticing this and hopefully can do something about it. You may have noticed that there's been a bunch of small patches recently, and mostly this has been focusing towards Smurf detection. And Smurf detection is much more important than the resolution, because if you know who the Smurfs are, you can do whatever you want with them later, which it might be just corner them off so that only Smurfs play against other Smurfs. Now, the other really good thing is that they've been banning boosters. 14,000 accounts have been banned as of the recent patch. They're also working on an Overwatch style system similar to CSGO. Instead of it focusing on cheating, say for looking at aimbot, they're instead looking towards game ruining behaviors so that players will be able to vote on other people's behavior within games. Now, the last thing is Gills, and Gills have been updated, so they actually give you Dota shards at the end of every week, and you can level up your Dota Plus hero levels up to level 5 without Dota Plus, so you don't have to even pay for it. So this pretty much brings it to like a free trial of Dota Plus for kind of everyone with limited features. So this is really good, especially for like new people or trying to get people to motivated to play a small amount of Dota on a regular basis so that they can level up their heroes. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Dota content like this, make sure you subscribe.